What's happening, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast. Tonight is episode number 75, part 1, and we'll be discussing week 5 of the 2023 Bigs. Tonight, joining me as always from New Jersey is Mike Haber. Mr. Haber, how you doing tonight?
I am all right, hanging in, and it was a fun week. Definitely a fun week for me.
It was a crazy week.
It was a crazy week around our league, so I can't wait to dive into this. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Four trades. The standings has been shaken up once again. Sunday was just a crazy day for a bunch of teams this week.
Yeah.
Myself included. So yeah, let's dive into this thing, and we're gonna start off with your matchup. And my friend, you are now in first place in this league. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I got some key pieces back. I'm waiting to hear if the Vlad injury is something that's something I need to worry about, something that's serious, or if it's not a big deal. But that's definitely going to play a role, I believe. So but otherwise, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good, feeling pretty healthy. Got to get Fairbanks and Vlad, and then I'll feel a-okay.
Yeah, just as you get Harper and Verlander back, you lose those two pieces. But like you said, hopefully Vlad isn't gone for the long term, and you can get Fairbanks back pretty soon. But for right now, I told you this off air, but I have in my notes, Mike continues his recent stretch of dominance and now sits atop of the league, and that's so true, because you've rattled off several wins in a row here, especially a couple of big ones, and including this 17-3 whooping over Adam this week. Let's dive into it. Close categories, not a whole lot of them, because this was pretty much as dominant of an effort as you can get. You did win by 1 steal, 1 win, and 2 saves. Adam wins by the only triple of the matchup, and you guys tied in errors with 4. On your bench this week, a very nice 4 for 31, which is a 129 average, a run, a homer, an RBI, a walk, and 11 strikeouts. My friend, that is how you do it.
I did not know I did that well on the bench. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, it was you had a Nolan Gorman home run on the bench on Wednesday, but I mean it was hard to get in, and aside from that, it was just a masterful bench showing this week. So
thank you.
Good on you. And that includes the horrible start from Jack Flaherty. That was a ballsy benching midweek. What was your thought process there?
Yeah, I didn't like the matchup, and I was pitching pretty well up until that point, if I remember correctly. What day was that?
That was on Thursday, I believe. Yeah, that was on Thursday.
That was Thursday. Oh, that was the day I had Verlander, Kirby, and Miley all going. I felt good about all 3 of those matchups. And Flaherty pitching against LA, against the Angels. And I don't know, just didn't feel great about it. I had 3 other starters going, and I was inching to the minimum this week, so I felt confident benching.
Yeah, and it
worked out.
And it worked, because he was absolutely dog shit. He got hit by the comebacker, and was forced out of the game. And he was bad before that. So,
yeah,
he
was awful.
You also benched the start from Musgrove last night. Didn't really matter, didn't really mean anything. I mean, it was a decent start. It wasn't a great start. But obviously against the Dodgers, that's somebody you're probably going to not want to face.
Yeah, and Whip was still pretty close when I had to make that decision. So
yeah. Let's get to your moves here. And I'm going to start off with the trade that you made at the start of the week with Bryan Lebo, where you got Alex Lang, the closer for the Tigers, and sent him Andrew McCutchen. Great deal for you, my friend. How did that come about?
Yeah, we were talking about both of our needs really, and I had just lost Fairbanks to the IL, and so it was looking like AJ Puck and a bunch of other nobodies as my bullpen. So, um, and I was in desperate need for some bullpen help. Lebo had a rough offensive week the week before and was in some need for some offense. And at that point, I also got Harper back. So I was looking to sort of, you know, dole out some of these offensive pieces like McCutchen, who was great for me the first month of the year, but I just don't really have a place for him right now. I think it was just something that worked well for both of us. And it felt good because it wasn't like anyone was taking advantage of anyone. It was just like, I need an offensive piece. I need a bullpen piece. Like, let's make this work. So,
Yeah. No, it's a great move. And look, I mean, the Tigers are the Tigers, but like he's been solid all year long. So
yeah.
even if he doesn't get the save chances that you want from your closer, when he gets in, it seems like he's gonna get you a good effort. So
Yeah.
that's a good move there. You did pick up Ranger Suarez to stash in the IL. I was after him, but I didn't have a spot for him just yet on my IL, so curses.
Sorry.
Yeah, and the only other noticeable one is, I guess, you dropped Jose Miranda, 12th round pick. That was late Sunday night. I know he's had a rough go of it this season so far, and he couldn't keep him on your roster, huh?
Yeah, no, I mean he was insurance for Rendon. I didn't know what Rendon was going to be this year, whether he was going to be a shell of himself or not. And yeah, he just hit his first home run yesterday, but like he's been an on-base machine. He's walking at a pretty awesome rate. His strikeout to walk ratio is amazing. He's still hitting in the center of that Angels lineup.
Yeah.
And he looks good. He looks healthy. He's playing a great third base. Like I don't want to just hold on to a guy that's going to sit on my bench 6 days a week. And honestly, even when Rendon had an off day, I didn't feel comfortable playing Miranda. And a player like that, like, what's the point of even owning them at that point?
Right. You can find somewhere else, and you picked up Josh Stallmont to kind of shore up that bullpen, and he's been really good for the Royals too, out of their bullpen. So that was a great find, actually.
Thank you. Yeah, so it was the Stallmont and Mantiply that were sort of the new additions here, but I like both of those pieces right now.
And Kenya Middleton, I mean, he at least until Liam Hendricks comes back, he certainly seems to be in the mix for save opportunities. So he kind of takes the place of Ronaldo Lopez, who I picked up, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Yeah. Let's dive into your key players here. And honestly, they could be just about anybody because you had a fantastic offensive week. I guess I'm going to give it to Rendon. As you mentioned, on base. I mean, on base had a 609 clip with a 471 average, 4 runs, a homer, 6 RBIs, 5 walks, 1 strikeout. The 2 errors aren't great. You did tie in that category, but I mean, that offensive production is just incredible. Shout out to Jonah Heim, Marcus Semien, Bryce Harper. I mean, all these guys really performed well for you this week.
Yeah, Bryan.
Yeah, Chris Bryant. I mean, Carlos Correa, even with the 190 average, but he still got you 5 RBIs. Like everybody did something on this offense, and it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, even Brent Rooker, who had sort of struck out 11 times, but like he stole me that huge base on Sunday.
Yep.
Like came out of nowhere that this guy can also steal bases. So I'll take that.
What can't Brent Rooker do?
I don't know.
Your
Pitch.
least valuable hitter, I'm giving it to Jose Miranda. He had no value to this team, and he is now on the waiver wire. So, bye.
Bye, Jose.
Um, on your pitching side, it's interesting. You mentioned how you kind of inched to the minimum, and you really did, because like none of your starters had more than one start.
Yep.
But it worked. I am going to give it to Anthony DeSclafani for shutting out the Astros over 8 innings. That's pretty impressive. Only
Yeah.
3 strikeouts, but a .38 WHIP over 8 innings with the win. You can't ask for much more against the defending world champions.
Yeah. Agreed.
And the Cy Yuck is going to go to AJ Puck. Inning 2/3, a loss, a homer, a walk, 4 strikeouts, a 21.60 ERA, and a 4.20 WHIP over 3 appearances. And I remember seeing this because I think I had him in a couple of leagues too, and it just felt like, he only pitched 3 times this week, but it just felt like he pitched every day, and every day he was giving up runs.
Yeah, it's true. It definitely felt like that to me as well, but realistically, he had 2 bad appearances and was fine on Sunday. So
yeah. Let's go over to Adam's team here. On his bench, he goes 11 for 39. That's a 282 average, 5 runs, a double, 3 homers, 6 RBIs, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts. The only thing that plays really is the RBIs. He needed 4 to flip the category. He has 6 on the bench.
RBIs?
Yeah. RBIs were not close.
No.
No. So yeah, none of that played actually. And right, so none of it plays. None of that played. He did make some interesting benchings though, including Sunday, benching Matt Olson for JD Davis, who was not in the lineup, and Olson goes ahead and hits a 2-run bomb. Let's take a look real quick.
I think it was a solo shot, but still.
Yeah, solo shot. And JD Davis not in the lineup. I don't know. Even if the lineups weren't out yet, like Olsen was definitely in the lineup. I don't know why bench him.
We were really close in runs also going into Sunday. Really close. I had an explosive Sunday, so it doesn't look close, but yeah.
You scored 11 runs Sunday.
Yeah.
And he scored 3, but he left 3 on the bench. So yeah, interesting thought. I'd love to know why Olsen doesn't get the start. I know he's not been terrific, I guess, but he's been all right.
It could. Strikeouts were sort of close, so maybe that was his mindset. Like, let me get this bad lineup. I don't know.
But then on Friday, he benched. He had, and maybe this is part of it. He had JD Davis on the bench with a home run. Yeah, here he is. With home run. But like, it's to get this guy in, like, because you shouldn't be benching Matt Olson. Tyro Estrada has been incredible. So like, there's a lot of moving pieces here. It's tough. It's tough to get someone like JD Davis in, unless you're benching one of these other, hot players.
Right.
For his moves this week, he did make a trade. This was definitely the week of trades. I think we mentioned it because it happened like towards the end of last week, where he got Kimbrel and Alvarado from Frank for Stephen Kwan and a throw-in of Colin Holderman. And didn't quite work out because we'll get into it, but Kimbrel had a horrible week. So
yes, he did.
I don't think it affected you too much.
It didn't. Neither of one of them got a save. So
yeah. So he did pick up. He made an ad for Jake Fraley on Monday, and he was not in the lineup. So I don't know if that was just a stash pick or didn't, or if he just didn't wait for the lineups to come out, but he ended up dropping him a few days later. Kept going kind of with the catcher roulette. We saw him pick up Jason DeLay and then dropped him for Connor Wong. He he does have Kyber Ruiz, so I don't know why the catcher roulette is going on. I would just let Kyber. I mean, Ruiz has been all right. Like,
he was cold. He was a bit cold this week.
Yeah, he had a rough week, but like, I don't know if you're gonna find any better on the waiver wire. I mean, Connor Wong has been good, I admit, but I don't know if that's sustainable.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All told, he used 6 of his ads, 4 on hitters, 1 starter, 1 reliever. His key players for the week, MVP, it's got to be Tyro Estrada. 348 average, of 423 on base, 4 runs, 2 homers, 4 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. The 2 errors kind of matches what Rendon gave you, but a solid week from this kid, and really nobody else.
Yeah.
I mean, Machado had a decent week, but not the kind of week you're looking for from Machado. Like, no home runs. His least valuable hitter, Jack Sawinski. Don't know why this guy is still rostered, particularly, but maybe now that Chaz McCormick's coming back, maybe he becomes the center fielder again. I don't know, but 1 run, a home run, RBI, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, a .59 average, and a 200 on base. The only hit he had the entire week was the home run that he hit on Saturday. That was it. So it was not a fun week for Jack Sawinski.
I think he was trying to chase some Pirate hot streak, and the Pirates were red hot, but when you're playing against the Rays, like that's not gonna, they're not gonna stay.
That's gonna stop.
He
has the Sawinski and the Connor Joe, the Jason DeLay. He was trying to race the Jolly Roger, and it just didn't really work out for him.
No.
On the pitching side, this was tough for the Cy Young. I kind of am having it shared between Joe Ryan and Domingo Germán because they were both pretty much equal. Joe Ryan to pick up the loss, so 12 innings, a loss, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, a 150 and a 092 whip. I mean, he picked up the loss, but it wasn't really his fault. The Twins didn't score any runs against the Guardians on Sunday. And Germán, 13 in the third, 3 walks, 11 strikeouts, a 203 and a .68. He was also fantastic. And I think we talked about it during the show last week that he was pitching a shutout against the Guardians. And while he didn't get the shutout, it was still a fantastic start.
Yes.
And for his Cy Young, well, we mentioned it, Craig Kimbrell. 2 appearances, 1 inning pitched, a loss, 2 homers, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 54 ERA and a 7 whip. Yikes.
Yeah, they were not good, and they were both against the Dodgers.
Yeah. And it's not going to get any easier because now they're playing the Red Sox, or they just played the Red Sox. Now they're playing the Blue Jays, and then they're coming here to Denver. It's not going to get any easier for the Phillies pitching. So we'll see how that goes. I'll also give a shout out to the horrible start that Max Scherzer had coming back from suspension against his former team in Detroit. 3 1/3, a loss, 2 homers, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a 16-20 and a 270. Yeah, that was not fun to watch, let me tell you. And now he's like battling like another injury, perhaps. So
is he?
Who knows?
Oh, geez. Discomfort in his right scapula.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you should try a spatula instead. So like I said, another dominant week from Mike Haber, and now you're sitting pretty on top of the league. You have, I know you're going up against Ben this week in week 6, so it's certainly not going to get any easier for you. How you feeling going into this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I'm feeling as confident as I can right now, being at the top of the standings. But going against Ben is always daunting. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not off to the best start, but it's 8:15 on a Monday night, so anything can happen. It's very
There's
early
plenty
in
of
the
time.
matchup, and I feel really good with my offense. I feel I should feel good with my pitching too, because I'm happy with what I've got as far as the starters go. But I mean, we'll see. I needed this sort of cushion, these big wins leading into this matchup with Ben. But you know how in the past we've talked about like the gauntlet of the schedule.
Yep.
This is a gauntlet here. This is it started with Joe, and then it was Adam, and then it was Ben, and then it's James McCloskey. It's just like all the guys that were or are at the top of the standings here. Um,
Yeah.
so it's not an easy
And
stretch, but you know,
yeah, because then you have Bryan, Lebo, and Ari, and then your brother. Like this is definitely a better gauntlet schedule for you. Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, but I started off 2-0 on the gauntlet, and I feel good about that. 32-7 in that gauntlet stretch so far, but 4 wins in a row feels nice. So I just want to keep
Yeah.
it going here.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, the win against Frank was close, but these last three wins have been blowouts. So you should feel good. And, even if, the match against Ben doesn't go as well as you wanted to, I still feel like you're in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And I want to tip my hat to Adam as well, because the score doesn't really reflect it, but he did play hard, and he was making ads, and he was playing his ass off, and I think he was in fourth place like before this blowout. So I just want to acknowledge that, like, I feel bad that this happened, but he's got plenty of time to bounce back, and I actually really like his team. So it's just they had a cold week, and
Yep.
my offense clicked this week, but I think that Adam is definitely not down and out at this point, and I don't know. He should feel
I'm facing
confident.
him in week 6, so I hope his cold stretch goes one more week. But you're right, and it's still so early in the season here that I mean the standings are going to continue to shake up for at least another couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Until we really start seeing start seeing the separation between the bottom teams and the top teams.
Yep. Yep. Definitely.
Um, this will be a good opportunity to also talk about at least one of the trades. There were a flurry of trades that happened this week, and particularly like on Sunday. And one of them involved you and Joe Schubert, where you sent Jack Flaherty for Giovanni Gallegos. I think that's another fantastic move for you. It gives you a really good relief option. And if something happens to Ryan Helsley, he's next in line. So was this kind of your thought process?
Yeah. And it's the same thing that I said about Miranda. I mean, if I have a player that I don't feel comfortable playing, then why roster him? And
Yeah.
I feel good with Ranger Suarez coming back this week. I have
Mm-hmm.
Soroka waiting in the wings, who's like, he's ready to go. He's just in the minors right now. So that's a pitching staff of 8 deep that, like, and I feel confident with the 6 guys that I have right now, throwing them at any point. So I felt okay getting rid of Flaherty. I needed to boost that bullpen still. I'm still not thrilled with it, and I'd like to make another move or two, but at the same time, I feel good about that trade. And for Joe, it gave him, a historically reliable arm, and hopefully someone that can grow and find himself in the second half.
And somebody he's had before, so he's familiar with him. He knows,
Yeah.
the Cardinals are not this bad. They can't be this bad. So
No.
like
No.
you got to figure that he's gonna turn it around eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, your bullpen is it's coming together. I know something that you were it's kind of a work in progress for you coming out of the draft, but I feel like it's starting to mold a little bit.
Yeah, if I get Fairbanks back, then I have 3 arms that can get me saves and a few waiting in the wings. So I'd feel okay about that.
Yep. All right. Let's jump ahead to the next matchup here, and that's going to be the other Haber brother. This is going to be Josh taking a 12-8 loss to James McCloskey, and I'm sure you talked to Josh. I was texting back and forth with Josh, and he was just, I think he ended up being satisfied with a 12-8 loss compared to where it was at some point during the week. It never really got too far out of hand, but there was some 12-6 going on, 12-4 earlier in the week. So yeah, for him to pick up a couple categories and go 12-8 is useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know his Sunday sort of exploded on him a little bit, but then he wound up recovering from that kind of towards the end, but I'm sure we'll get into it.
Yeah. And he still sits in 6th place. So he's still in a good spot to be in. Hopefully he can rebound, in the coming weeks.
Yeah. 12-8 is really not bad either. So
no, against James, who, basically he just knocked him out of, you helped knock him out of 1st place. And now he's in 2nd place behind you.
Yeah.
Close categories this week. McCloskey wins by the 2 errors, the loss, 2 homers by a pitcher, and 1 relief appearance. Josh wins by the steal, 3 wins, 1 save, 1 strikeout by a pitcher, and 0.04 on the ERA. And this is very interesting, especially on Sunday. In fact, let's take a look at Sunday real quick, because Sunday was really exciting for these 2 teams. I texted Josh because I felt bad about this Graham. I'm going back to calling an asshat start. Where he got lit up by the White Sox. In inning 2/3 a loss. Like it was not pretty. And meanwhile, he has Hayden Wesneski on the bench, and he had a great start against the Marlins. So obviously hindsight's 2020, can't take it back, but
right.
I mean that, and he still managed to hold on to ERA, but I'm sure he was sweating bullets, the whole rest of the day. Meanwhile, McCloskey was interesting. Let's get into his bench real quick. For James McCloskey, he went 5 for 27. That's a 185, 3 runs, a double, a home run, 5 RBIs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. None of that plays, but what's interesting is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all weekend, he had Tanner Scott on the bench. And on Friday, Tanner Scott was not good. But on Saturday and Sunday, he was good. And he got a strikeout in both of those outings, nothing earned, and obviously the relief appearances. So it was interesting to watch. Obviously the strikeouts would have flipped the category.
Yeah.
And the relief appearance, he was winning them already, but it would have made the matchup a lot more interesting.
Yes, agreed.
Nothing else was really noteworthy. On Sunday, he did bench a home run from Hunter Renfroe and started Manuel Margot against Garrett Cole. Probably that's something that I would have done. Garrett Cole, I mean, obviously Cole got little rocked in that start, but he had been so good. I don't think I would have started Margot against Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
For his ads this week, he used 7, 4 hitters, 2 starters, a reliever. Nothing really too noteworthy. He tried this Jake Irvin kid for the Nationals against the Cubs. That didn't work out too well. And he had picked up Griffin Canning. I had dropped him for the start against the Cardinals, and he got the win, but it wasn't really a great start for him. So I feel vindicated.
Yeah, good choice.
For his key players this week, let's talk about his MVP, which is absolutely going to be Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy went off this week, a 360 average, a 515 on base, 5 runs, a double, 3 homers, 12 RBIs, 5 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
Josh texted me at some point this week and he was like, okay, so I guess Sean Murphy's the best player in baseball. And then he texted me like a day later and he's like, oh, I guess Ryan Mountcastle's the best player in baseball. Like it just kept changing every day.
yeah, I mean, he had a big week offensively, but I mean, 12 RBIs for Sean Murphy is pretty incredible. And I mean, half of those came in one game, I guess in 2 games, one day against the Mets, and I was on Monday, that doubleheader, and that was not fun to watch.
Yeah.
His least valuable player, Tim Anderson, was not good coming back from injury. 208, 296, 3 runs, an RBI, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, and an error. Hunter Renfroe was also not good. It would have been better if he had started him on Sunday. 231 and 231, just 2 runs, 2 strikeouts, and an error. So not much going on there. But I mean, aside from that, it was a pretty good offensive week for McCloskey.
Yeah.
And on the pitching side, his Cy Young, he kind of went the Mike Haber approach, I'm going to call it. Chris Bassett was his only pitcher to pitch more than 5 innings. So he is a Cy Young, 7 innings, a win, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, nothing earned, a 1.14 whip. That was against the Pirates. Everybody else, he kind of, like you said, just like you, kind of like inched to the minimum this week. And I mean, he got 51 innings, but it just it just seemed like nobody really pitched.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. No one went more than 5 other than Bassett. That's wild.
Other than Bassett, nobody went more than 5.
Wow. Impressive then.
Right.
Yeah.
I had to look it over a couple times because it just seemed too unrealistic, but it happened. I mean, Sonny Gray went 5 innings. That was the next closest guy.
Damn. All right.
Yeah. For his Cy Young, this is tough because he had a really good pitching week. Gregory Soto wasn't great, but that was really only just 1 outing. So I am going to give it to Clayton Kershaw. He got beat up by the Padres on Saturday. 4 2/3, a loss, 2 homers, 5 walks, 7 strikeouts, a 7.71 and a 2.79. I mean, I guess you can't be great every start. It happens.
Yeah, but his control is where he excels, and so the 5 walks is a bit shocking there.
Yeah, and both home runs came against Tatis. I'm sure he'll be just fine. I'm sure he'll rebound, but it wasn't a very pretty start there on Saturday, or on Friday rather.
Yeah.
Flipping over to Josh, more fun stuff on Sunday. So on his bench, he goes, let's see. Here it is. Here we go. Okay, Josh went 5 for 26, which is a 192 average, 4 runs, an RBI, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, an error. Nothing plays, except that he did bench a relief appearance from Penn Murphy back on Wednesday, and that would have tied the category. So that and he didn't give up any runs, so there was no earned runs. But the problem is that I think, and if we go back to Wednesday, it was just a matter of which reliever do you not trust the most, or trust the least, I guess, because he didn't have anywhere to put him. Because everybody else was playing, so he just didn't feel comfortable playing him in Oakland. But it happens.
Or maybe he had pitched the day before. I don't
know. Let's see. Nope, he hadn't pitched since Sunday. So, it was a squeeze. It was a squeeze because he had 4 starters going, so he had the P spot used up.
Right.
So it was just a choice. It was a choice of who to bench, and who knew, right?
Right.
The other crazy thing that happened Sunday, and he and I were texting about this a lot, was that crazy Marlins Cubs game that went 14 innings.
Oh my God.
And poor Adbert Alzolay goes 3 innings. He gives up 2 runs, but they're both the ghost runners, so it doesn't count as an earned run.
Right.
And then he loses the game because of a balk.
That was wild.
So and that loss untied the category. And yeah, that's so frustrating. That's so frustrating that like that's how it unfolded.
Yep. That is a Rob Manfred loss right there.
Yeah. And in fact, if you read the Alzolay news and notes, it even tells you that.
Oh, really?
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. It's all because of Rob Manfred.
The Manfred man. I love that.
Yep. I thought that was funny, and the fact that you mentioned it made it even funnier.
Man, maybe I should write for NBC Sports Edge.
I think you should. You have a calling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was a rough Sunday. Between that and the asshat start, was just not a fun Sunday for Josh.
Yeah.
Otherwise on the bench though, like I said, nothing really played. Nothing really to write home about. For his ads this week, he used all 12, 6 hitters, 4 starters, 2 relievers. He gave a shot to Gavin Stone. That did not work out against the Phillies back on Monday. He was pretty bad. He tried Kyle Gibson against the Royals. I dropped him last week, and I didn't want to. I wanted to keep him for that Royal start, and I'm glad I didn't because he was awful. He did pick up Matt Mervis, the Cubs rookie first baseman. So we'll see if this kid gets a long shot, but there could be something there. And then obviously the ad of Alzolay. And the funny thing is he picked him up on Saturday, but it was after the bell, and Alzolay did record a save on Saturday, but he didn't get credit for it because it was after the game had started.
Right.
So I would not blame Josh if he was not a big Albert Alzolay fan.
No, and it's really interesting too that he picked him up after pitching an inning and getting a save, and then the manager throws him out there for 3 innings. But I guess if you're out of arms by then,
in a 14 inning game, you kind of have to. And I mean, Alzolay has started in the past, so he's probably used to at least throwing a good amount of pitches. But still, and he pitched well. Yeah, I mean, he no walks or strikeouts, but he pitched well enough. Yeah, he just balked.
Right.
He also did pick up. He wasted. Well, it was a waste of an ad on Jake Fraley. I picked him up on Saturday, and then the guy got scratched. Like an hour before the game started. Ugh. And so then he dropped him. Dropped Luis Garcia. Garcia later.
Yeah. Sad.
Yep. That sucks.
Yeah.
His key players this week. I'm going to give it to Yordan Alvarez, 286 to 375 on base, 3 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. But I also shout out this kid, Emmanuel Valdez. He picked him up on Tuesday this week, and the kid's hitting 364, 417, a run, 3 RBIs, 2 steals, a walk, 2 strikeouts. And I think he's probably like the mostly everyday second baseman for the Red Sox right now.
Yeah, with Christian Arroyo hurt, I think this. Yeah,
with Arroyo out and Trevor Story still out, I think he's gonna be the guy for the time being.
And Mondesi whenever that guy gets back.
Yeah. When those three guys come back, it's going to be a bit of a logjam, but we'll see what they
Yeah.
do. But for right now, he's hitting. So,
Yep.
um, his least valuable player, I know he's been frustrated with Jazz Chisholm.
Yes.
And 118 of 158 on base, just one RBI, one walk, 7 strikeouts. He did bench him on, was it Saturday? Yeah, he benched him on Saturday. He went 0 for 3, but that was against a lefty. I think that was intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I know he's been frustrated. Shout out to Austin Riley. Riley had a better week this week than he's had, but still 5 strikeouts, 2 errors, and just a 229 average and 270 on base. Not great either.
Yeah, and these are two of your, picks in the first 5 rounds here, and Chisholm has been a massive disappointment. Like, I think with Riley, he's got that raw power, and it's gonna happen. He just has to get
Right.
hot, and he'll hit a ton. But like with Chisholm, like he's got to be stealing bases, which he is. He has 11 steals, which is great.
But he has one in, like 2 weeks now. So like it's been a while since he's even stolen a base.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he hasn't been on base, so it's hard to steal when you're not on. But
You can't steal first base.
no, you cannot.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I do know he's frustrated with this guy, and the 222 average is really disappointing for a guy that you're drafting. What, in the 3rd round, 4th round, wherever you got him. So
I think it was the 4th. That was the 3rd round. Yeah, 3rd round. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's a big investment for a guy who's hitting 222.
yes,
But he did address his second base situation. He made one of those last minute, well, I guess it was more midweek trades with Bryan, it was with Lebo, right?
it
Yeah.
was with Lebo.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, where he sent Bryce Elder to Lebo for Ketel Marte, which I thought was a brilliant move.
yes,
Great move for him. While we're on the subject, real quick, of Bryce Elder, he is Josh's Cy Young for the week. 12 in the 3rd innings, a win, 4 walks, 10 strikeouts, a .73 ERA, and a .89 WHIP. So I'm sure he didn't want to give up on this kid because he's been pitching really, really well.
yeah,
But I know he needed to address that second base situation.
yeah, yeah.
And his Cy Young, well, who else but Graham Asshat, because that guy was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
2/3 a loss, a homer, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 43.20 ERA, and a 4.80 WHIP. And I guess they're saying he's hurt now. He took a line drive off the leg. Okay, but I mean, he was pretty god awful before that.
Yeah, yeah. It's rough.
And it sucks because he been pitching well. So we'll see if this is a blip, or if this is if he was just kind of faking it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough to pitch in that ballpark, and he started off strong, but yeah, I don't know. The track record isn't there for me personally, but maybe
Right.
he's got some faith in this guy.
I mean, he's named his team after him, so I guess he's got to like him somehow.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So, again, Josh was able to kind of mitigate this, a bigger loss by keeping things close and working around some bad luck, I guess you can say. And he's still sitting pretty in 6th place. I mean, have you talked to him? How's he feeling?
Yeah, I think exactly what you said earlier, that he was okay with how this score turned out. And there was a certain point on Sunday where he was really distraught because he felt like he played well and sort of inched his way back into this, and then the asshat start just exploded everything. But he needed something like 4 strikeouts and for him to not give up 8 runs. That was the only like requirement. And he didn't get 4 strikeouts and he gave up 8 runs. So
Yeah.
it was bad, but like you said, he's fine. He's 3 games over 500. He's in 6th place. He still has a very solid team, well
Yeah.
balanced. I mean, I'd say he's in good shape.
Especially now with Marte. I love the addition of Marte on this team. I know, losing Bryce Elders hurts, but his pitching is still, he's okay. He's got Justin May, he's got Logan Webb, he's got guys here that can help carry it. And maybe find somebody else too to help, balance that out. But the offense is fine.
Yeah. And he's not that there's any soft part of our schedule because all of our managers are just killer. But if there's ever a soft spot, it's the next couple weeks, I think. He's got some managers that don't make as many moves and go, I guess, as crazy with every single day making changes to their lineups. He's got Bryan Lebo, Ari, Mike Sherman, and Matt Losey, which I think that's an okay time to catch up,
Yeah.
And the 12-8 loss isn't that bad. So it's not like he has catching up to do, but he can do some damage.
Yeah, and then it's you. So he has, like I said, he has maybe a bit of a reprieve.
It's
and
me, you, and Bobby.
Yeah, so then it kind of picks up again. So
yeah,
hopefully, yeah, like you said, hopefully he can use these next 4 weeks or so to kind of get himself stronger and build himself up and get ready for the next round.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. I think that's going to bring us to our next matchup, which is going to be me taking a 10-9 loss to our friend Joe Schubert.
Yep. This was a nail biter, Jason. This was so much fun to watch. I'm so glad that I was the one doing research on this because it was so exciting. Like you said, it was 10-9. It was a 10-9 loss, but that 10-9 loss came at the very last second when Mookie Betts hit that home run.
Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
Yep, I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
And that was the last game. That was the Sunday night game, and it was like I think it was his last at bat, wasn't it?
It was the ninth inning.
It was the ninth inning.
Yeah, it was top of the ninth inning off Josh Hader.
Yeah.
And I think there was even 2 outs. Like it was literally like the last possible moment of the game.
Yep. And you couldn't get anything from Vargas either, which was frustrating. But
yeah, and of course, and you'll get into it, but the benching of Merrifield on Sunday didn't work out. But who knew?
Yeah.
All I needed was one lousy run.
Yeah, it's true. All right, let's get into some of these close categories here. Joe, who won the week, won by 1 run, which we just mentioned. 4 strikeouts by a batter and 2 walks by a pitcher, and the 2 saves. Oh, and the one home run given up by a pitcher as well.
And the 1 relief appearance.
No, you won by that.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, that's right.
So from your side, you won by the 3 doubles, the triple, 1 home run by a batter. You won by the win, and you won by 1 relief appearance. You guys tied in errors with 3 and losses with 3. On your bench this week. Oh, you know what? Let's stick with Joe here. On Joe's bench this week, and we're gonna play a fun game with Joe's bench this week. But with Joe's bench this week, he goes 11 for 41, which is a 268 average. He had 10 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, a steal, 5 walks, and 12 strikeouts. The triple would have tied the category. That was Chris Taylor on Wednesday on the bench. And Mauricio Dubon 1 for 4 and a strikeout at shortstop. So that was unfortunate there. I think he also stole a base on the bench, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so the triple and the steal. The steal doesn't matter because you won by 600. But that the Chris Taylor triple is the big thing here.
Yeah.
The 4 home runs that Joe had on his bench also would have absolutely won the category, since you only won by 1. So there were a bunch of them. He benched Eloy, I believe, on Tuesday. He benched Santander, hit 2 home runs on Friday. And then I believe Santander hit, he had 2 doubles on Saturday, and then Chris Taylor hit a home run on Saturday as well. So some interesting benchings. He's got, he picked up Santander, which was, I think, a great addition, especially given
Yes.
Eloy just hit the IL. But when Eloy is on your team, then you have to really play this game of like, all right, who's sitting on the bench tonight? And in a few cases this week, unfortunately, it didn't really pay off for Joe, with Santander on Friday and Chris Taylor on Saturday.
Yeah.
So that is on the offensive side of things. But are you ready for our game?
I love games.
Okay. So as you are aware, Joe benched his entire pitching staff on Sunday.
Yep.
I'm going to give you the line of the pitching staff right here, or you can click on it. That's fine. But
no, you go ahead.
All right. 16 and a third innings pitched, a win, 2 losses, 1 save, 3 home runs given up, 3 walks, 17 strikeouts, and 5 relief appearances. So he ended in a 10-9 victory. And my question to you in this game, what do you think would have changed in this matchup? What would be the focus?
So it was like 16 innings.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have flipped. What you said, he had 1 win?
1 win.
That would have tied. The losses would have flipped, would have untied. Oh God. Saves wouldn't have mattered. Home runs would have flipped.
Yep.
Walks would have flipped.
Yep.
Strikeouts. Well, how many did you say?
17.
So that wouldn't have changed. And the relief appearances.
Any guesses?
Is it the same?
It's exactly the same. So
That's terrific.
And not only did I took the time to actually figure out what the ERA and the WHIP would be if he had played these players. His ERA would have become 4.35, which it obviously would have ballooned up, but it wouldn't have changed anything. And his WHIP would have been 1.36, so it would have been closer, but still wouldn't change anything. This matchup would have ended exactly the same, 10-9, if Joe played all of his people on Sunday.
That's fantastic.
Yep. I call that the what if game.
But I will say, if he had started any of his starters,
your strategy would have been different.
I probably would have started mine.
Yes.
I literally waited until like 2:08. It was Miller and Kopech, who, of course, Bryce Miller pitches, the game of his life, and Michael Kopech is handed like the biggest lead ever and wants to give it all back. So
right.
it was, we'll get into that, but that is fascinating that it would have been the exact same score.
Yeah, I was blown away because I was just curious, how would this have changed? Because it was one day, but it was so many stats that were significant. Yeah. And it's just, I was like, are you effing kidding me after all this research right now? That's exactly.
He even texted me Sunday morning saying, go get your relief appearance. And I did.
Yeah, good job. All right. So Joe's transactions, he used all 12 ads. three hitters in Santander, Chris Taylor, and Isaac Paredes, which were, I think, three excellent additions to this team. Then he played the relief pitcher game and he added 8 relief pitchers. So I give you a ton of credit for continuing to hold on to that and win that category. And he used 2/3 of his moves on that. And then 1 starting pitcher. Something notable, he did add Jerry's Familia on the 4th, which I believe was Tuesday, and then he had to drop him an hour later because he was DFA'd.
And say it with me, Joe, fuck Jerry's Familia.
Yeah. But then Joe Schubert goes ahead and adds Zach Jackson, who picks up a save for him in Oakland. So that was fun. Key players for Joe. I am gonna give his MVP. He had some good ones here. If you can go to the full matchup there. He had some good ones. But I'm gonna give it to Yandy Diaz for now. Mookie Betts was awesome, and he changed the everything, but Yandy's just been so consistent, and he's been on base so much. 350 average, 500 on base, 6 runs, a double, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 5 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Shout out to Mookie Betts for basically winning the week. Yeah. And it, good for him because Mookie Betts was atrocious the week before against me.
Yes, he was.
I'm sorry about that, Jason.
Yeah. You know what? I knew there was going to be some sort of revenge after last week, and while this wasn't the revenge score, it was the things that happened were very, very vengeful.
Yes. Yeah. Mookie Betts was angry when he hit that home run.
Yes. Yes, he was.
His least valuable player, we can give it to Bregman here. With an 0.87 average, a 160 on base, 3 runs, a homer, 3 RBIs, no steals, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Shout out to Max Muncy, who struck out 10 times this week and had an error. But at least Muncy walked, scored some runs, and drove in some runs.
That was the other thing. Even if I was desperately waiting for Max Muncy to make another error last night. Never happened. That would have helped.
That definitely would have helped, but I guess he figured out his defense just in time.
Yeah.
Cy Young, let's move on to the pitching here. Joe's Cy Young, we're going to give it to Eduardo Rodriguez, 8 innings, a win, a walk, 9 strikeouts, nothing earned, and a 0.38 whip.
And that was the double whammy because that was also against the Mets.
Yeah,
so
that was against the Mets.
That doubly hurt. And the fact that he spent the entire offseason shit-talking me because I was high on Erod, and he was like, no, he's on the Tigers. He's going to be terrible. And here he goes, picks him up, and, the guy's been lights out.
Yeah, this was a waiver wire addition. And I think it was after that Cleveland start, he picked him up. And, it's never really looked back.
He's had the first 2 starts were not so great. Ever since then, he's been everything you'd want.
Yep. So that's definitely the Cy Young there. The Cy Yuck, I'm gonna give this to Andrew Heaney. He picked him up for a start and then promptly dropped him, but 4 2/3, and 3 homers, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 11.57 ERA and a 171 WHIP. So that's not what you want, but I think Andrew Heaney is the village bicycle at this point. Everyone's
he's gonna get around. That's for sure.
Yeah, he is gonna get around. And he can't make up his mind if he's a decent pitcher or not. I owned him for a minute. Joe's owned him twice. Josh has owned him.
Yeah, already he's been on what, 4 teams already?
Yeah, he's been on a quarter of the teams in our league already, and it's only May. So, anyone else wants to hop on board the Heaney bicycle? Feel free.
I'm good.
All right, let's flip over to you here.
Hit
So
me.
on your bench, you go 9 for 24. That's a 375 average.
Mm.
4 runs, which hurts. 2 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, and then 10 RBIs, which also kind of hurts. 3 steals because you needed 3 more. And 3 strikeouts. The only things that mattered were the 4 runs would have won the category and the 10 RBIs. You would have probably had to have been perfect to get them all in. But some noticeable ones, you had Dalton Varsho on the bench, which I don't blame you because he's been poopy.
It was
But
a rage benching. It was absolutely a rage benching.
yeah, and I don't blame you. It was on Tuesday too, and it was before he had started to like warm up.
Yeah.
You had Christian Bethancourt in a catcher who went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, and Varsho on the bench with the home run and the double.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know about that one, and then the Witt benching on Sunday obviously is killer, but
Yeah. I figured I think because my thought on benching Witt was, to your point, I was doing pretty well in stolen bases, and I'm not expecting Whit Merrifield to hit a home run. I'm expecting him to steal bases, so I didn't really need the steals, and so I figured I would set him, and there he goes, hits the first home run of the season. Go figure.
yep, sounds about right. But again, like you would have had to have been perfect with a lot of these moves, and
Yeah.
obviously the 4 runs on the bench do hurt, but the 10 RBIs I feel like are, that would be tough to get all those in there.
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah. And benching Ruiz every once in a while for his 85 stolen bases, you're welcome.
Thanks.
Your transactions this week, you used all 12. 5 starting pitchers in Bryce Miller, Jameson Taillon, Michael Kopech, someone named France, and then Libertor, Matthew. 5 relief pitchers, Will Wears a Vest, someone named Hernandez, Silseth, Matt Brash, and my good friend Reynaldo Lopez. And 2 hitters in Mr. Wiener and Mr. Arcia.
Yeah, and Frank texted me last night very unhappily that I took Arcia from him. Sorry, Frank.
Sorry about that. Bryce Miller is a fun one. Reynaldo Lopez is atrocious, so you enjoy him.
Yeah, he's probably not going to stay long, but at least until Hendricks comes back,
yeah,
he's still. I mean, picked up a save on Friday, so he's still getting the opportunities. So I'll take the bumps.
Yeah. I just reached a boiling point with him. Key players for you this week. We're gonna highlight your good friend Dalton Varsho because he had an awesome week, and even if you did put him in on that Tuesday, these numbers would have been even higher. But 375 average, a 407 on base, 3 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 2 steals, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and an error. That's why you drafted this guy to fill a stat sheet, and he finally does it for you.
Yeah, and honestly, I drafted him, and I wasn't sure if I was making him a catcher or putting him, mix and matching the outfield. That's why I had Bethancourt. And I was looking at some other catchers as backups. No, he's the guy. He's my catcher.
Yeah, good. And he's starting to heat up, and some of these hitters need April to warm up a bit.
Yeah.
Your least valuable player, unfortunately, was a higher draft pick, and that was Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah, he was terrible.
Yeah, with a .95 batting average, a 208 on base, 3 runs, a homer, 2 RBIs, no steals, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. It's off to a little bit of a slow start.
Yeah, the home run he hit on Sunday was huge because that won me the week. And I was watching that game, and I did a little happy dance. But that was all he did, and that's all he did really the whole week. So he needs to get it going. He's only hitting 216. So he needs to get going because I'm starting to regret this pick.
Oh yeah, are you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, you've got time. If it's any consolation, this guy was on my bench for all of April last year because he did nothing but strike out. And then
Okay.
he came back and was an absolute monster for like the entire summer. So
Maybe he's a 5 month player.
I think be patient with this guy. I think he's another one of those like I just need to warm up, let me warm up players, but he's still going to be the leadoff hitter on this
Yeah.
awesome offense. So,
Yeah.
um, for your pitching now, your Cy Young, we will give it to the aforementioned Bryce Miller, who went 6 innings, 10 strikeouts, a 150 ERA, and a .33 WHIP. Was that the Miller versus Miller showdown?
In Oakland, yes, it was, and it would have even been even better if I started him on Sunday. But he's been great his first 2 starts. I'm quite happy with this kid.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was a really savvy pickup, and he's gonna
I mean,
stick around, I think, right?
yeah, with Robbie Ray out, and as long as he's pitching like this, he's gonna stick around. His next start is against the Tigers, so I'm expecting good things from him. So
Well,
he's not going anywhere. So, yeah.
all right, good, good. The Tigers start, don't count on that because I learned today the hard way. But yeah, no, it's definitely a guy you want to hold on to.
Yeah.
Your Cy Yuck, which you texted me about, is 100% Grayson Rodriguez. 3 2/3 innings, 3 home runs given up, a walk, 3 strikeouts, 14.73 ERA, and 2.45 WHIP against the Royals of all teams.
Yeah, against the Royals, and he was spotted like an 8-run lead in the first inning or first 2 innings or something like that. And he also was like, "Nah, here, let's give it all back and make this a more interesting game." And it was. I mean, they ended up winning like late in the game. But yeah, he's been terrible, and I don't know what to do with him. Like, I, I drafted him in the 14th round, so like I'm not married to him, but he's supposed to be like this top prospect, and he's pitching like garbage.
Yeah, yeah. And he's pitching in the AL East too. Like it's not really going to get much easier for him, but
Right.
if you have faith in him, I don't know a ton about his minor league stats, but if you have faith in the guy, you you just got Dylan Cease, right?
I did.
And you have Framber Valdez. Like you've got some pieces here that you could afford to part ways with Grayson, but you can also
And that's
afford to keep him on your bench until I don't know.
that's probably a good segue to the 2 trades that I pulled off yesterday on Sunday. And quite honestly, I wasn't looking at doing either of them. But as you mentioned, yeah, I did get Dylan Cease and Jaron Duran, and that cost me Whit Merrifield and Chris Sale. And I had a few managers coming at me for Merrifield, and I just couldn't get. I wasn't getting what I wanted, so I kept holding. I kept pulling out,
Yeah.
and finally, Frank came to me, and he he offered me Cease, and I know Cease has been struggling, but I couldn't resist adding another frontline starter to go with Framber. At least until hopefully Carlos Rodon comes back, and now I can have something of a 3-headed monster there. But I love this Duran kid. I hope that he's a fixture in the Red Sox lineup. He's been absolutely on fire. I like what he brings. I hope he's going to be there for a while.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Dylan, about Dylan Cease too, though. Like, well, do you see this guy as like the top of your rotation frontline starter, or do you see regression coming, or like what are you looking for out of Cease right now?
Just a guy, I don't think he's number one. I think Framber is still my number one, but
Okay.
he's like he'd be a number two, but I think he's got the potential to be a number one, and we saw it last year. the walks obviously are a problem. And they are with Framber Valdez too. So I'm probably gonna lose walks most weeks. But if he can get me some strikeouts and some innings, like I'm okay. I'll be okay with that.
Okay.
I I felt like that was what I was missing was that big time starter. Like, yeah, I had guys offering me Mackenzie Gore or little guys like that, and it just or Alex Cobb. Like it wasn't enough for me as far as the pedigree that I wanted for a starter. So I didn't really draft a good starter. I didn't have a good starter run in the draft, so this kind of helped mitigate that a little bit.
Yeah, and it's not like you gave Frank back garbage. Like Chris Sale is someone that could be an ace as well. Like,
Yep.
so
He started off terrible. He's had a couple of good starts now, so I think he's hopefully for Frank, he's starting to turn it around.
yeah,
But I also know he's a bit of an injury risk, and you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see.
yeah, yeah. It was a good trade for both of you, I think. How you feeling now that we've sort of talked through this matchup with Joe? How are you feeling about your team moving forward here?
I feel pretty good. There are some pieces that I'm, like we said, that I'm waiting to heat up. I need Julio to get going. Austin Hayes, was doing good. Now he's hit a bit of a skid because of a bruised finger. And Pete Alonso needs to find it for me and the Mets.
Yeah.
But overall, like I still feel pretty good. I'm like I said, I'm getting 600 stolen bases a week, so that's good. Uh, I'm liking my pitching staff. I feel good. Am I competitive? I think I'll be competitive. I have Adam this week, which hopefully I can use some of my more experience to kind of help with that matchup.
Yeah.
And then I have Ben after that, which of course is going to be a real struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. But you're 2 games under right now. 11th place means nothing. The standings mean absolutely nothing right now. Like, in week 5 or week 6, whatever we're in. So you have plenty of time and plenty of talent on this team to make a deep run at this. So
Yep, I appreciate that, and yeah, that's I just gotta buy my time, and just get guys healthy and get guys warmed up, and I'll be there.
on the flip side of things, what are your thoughts about Joe's team here as he takes a 10-9 close call win against you? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's another season of him, having to weather injuries and just weird things. He was really high on Jordan Walker. That didn't really work out. But he seems to be on the verge of getting Altuve and Corey Seager back, like pretty soon, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, Seager's starting a rehab assignment, and I think Altuve is not far behind that. So that's going to be huge for him. I think and Glass now is also
that's a different.
So he's gonna make two more rehab starts. You know what? And it's Joe Schubert. You can never count him out. What is he in? He's in 7th place. He's right there. I think he's gonna be just fine, and he knows what he needs to do.
Yeah, agreed. And he's got a lot of pieces, like you said, that are injured right now. But when all those pieces come back and come together, this is going to be a scary team. So
and it's going to be soon. It's going to be they all 3 of those guys could be back in the next week or 2.
Yeah, and Eloy as well. So
yeah. It'd be interesting to see who gets the cut. When all these guys start coming back, but it's a good problem to have, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Shall we move on to our final matchup?
Let's do that. And that is going to be Bryan Lebo taking a 12-8 victory over Ari Nisman.
Yes. And this one, Ari was winning a lot of the week and was Lebo came back and took the 12-8 victory here. Close categories. We've got Ari wins by, where am I? Ari wins by 1 double. He wins by, oh my gosh, I lost it. 2 errors, a win, and a loss. And Lebo wins by 3 runs, 1 triple, 2 RBIs, a .008 batting average, and 1 relief appearance. And they tied in saves with 0. That's fun.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll start with Lebo, who won the week here. On his bench, he does go 12 for 37, which is a .324 batting average, which doesn't sound good, but the counting stats are basically nothing. He had 2 runs, 2 RBIs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, and an error. None of that plays at all.
Nicely done.
Yeah. His transactions this week, he also used all 12, which is a trend that we're seeing here. 3 relief pitchers in John Curtis, someone named Love Lady, and Scott Wilson, or Steve Wilson.
S. Wilson.
S. Wilson. 6 starting pitchers in, he picked up Adrian Hauser off the IL. Steven Matz, who's I don't think is very good. Spencer Turnbull, who's not very good. I believe this is Brad Keller of the 2 Kellers, who was also not very good. Ryan Yarbrough, who is not good, and Corey Kluber.
Ryan Yarbrough got knocked in the face by a line drive and suffered like head fractures or something like that.
I did not see that. Okay.
Yeah, that he got like, it looked like he got into a fight. And Spencer Turnbull got sent to the minor leagues. So did John Curtis. So and Adrian Hauser was okay coming back off the IL. So it was interesting ads this week for Lebo.
Yeah, and then a couple of hitters that were a bit questionable too, and Nick Senzel, who was a little bit hot, but I don't know if that guy's going to stick. Some guy named Stowers on the Orioles, who I've never heard of, and then Brian McCann, who came out of retirement and joined us.
Yeah, well, the Stowers ad was interesting because he was playing while Austin Hayes was not playing.
Okay.
And so he got into the games, but he was not good at all. As evidenced by this lineup here. And
right.
You're right about Senzel. I had my eye on him. I really wanted him. He'd been added and dropped a couple of times.
Yep.
Yeah. And I had my eye on him, but I've had him before and I've seen these little hot streaks and then he just goes cold for weeks.
So
I'm really happy I held off on that.
Yeah, good call. And then we also mentioned the trade. He acquired Andrew McCutchen and shelled out Alex Lang. For his key players this week, we're going to go, it's actually kind of funny, but we're going to highlight the guy he just got rid of as his MVP, Ketel Marte, who's there somewhere. There he is. 353 average, a 458 on base, 4 runs. He did get that 1 triple. The 2 homers, 7 RBIs, 5 walks, 3 strikeouts, and 2 errors are not good, but all of those offensive stats are awesome. But he's gone. So good riddance.
He is, and the thing is, like Jonathan India had a really good week too.
He did.
So I guess he really didn't need both of them because they're both second base only. So it was it'd be hard to get both of them into the lineup every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Trading from his strength, I think that it was great.
Yeah.
His least valuable player, I'm gonna give it to Tyler Stevenson here, who I expected a little bit more from going into this year. I had high hopes. 158 average, 238 on base, 2 runs, 1 homer, 1 RBI, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts.
Yeah, I think he was doing all right at the start of the year, and then he kind of just fizzled.
Yeah, I mean, there's no power there. he's supposed to be a good on base guy. He's striking out a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sure Lebo was expecting the same thing I was expecting from this guy. Playing like he played before he got hurt last year. But
And also, McCutcheon
yeah,
he had a
shout out to
horrible week.
McCutcheon, but he was hurt for a portion of this week, which is why I didn't
Okay.
get, but definitely a shout out there.
Fair.
His Cy Young, let's move on to the pitching here. We're going to give it to Shane McClanahan. 6 innings, a win, a homer, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, a 150 ERA, and a 117 whip. This guy is the ace.
Yeah.
Not much else to say about that.
Yeah. Look, I mean, he's pitched 6 innings exactly in all but 2 starts.
Yeah, he has 7 wins already, and it's May 6th. Like, May
Yeah,
7th.
he's got to win. He's got to win in all but one of his starts. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
the Rays.
Yep. His Cy Young, unfortunately, should be Lebo's number 2, but this week he was not, and that's Kevin Gaussman. Kevin Gaussman pitched 3 1/3 innings, took the loss, gave up a home run, a walk, 4 strikeouts, and a 21.60 ERA and a 3.30 whip. Could not get out of the fourth.
That was a bad start against Boston.
Yeah.
It happens.
He just did not have it at all. He just didn't have a feel for any of his pitches.
Yeah.
Flipping over now, let's talk about Ari. And we do have to talk about Ari because you know what? He had some bench stats this week, Jason.
I bet he did.
Yeah. On his bench, Ari goes 25 for 87. So that's a 287 average. 10 runs, 4 doubles, 5 homers, 12 RBIs, a steal, 7 walks, 27 strikeouts, and an error. Most notably, I guess we can talk about Wednesday. He had 3 home runs on the bench on Wednesday. Josh Young went off on Wednesday and he was on the bench.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon Drury was on the bench. And then he had Ha-Seong Kim and Brett Beatty in the lineup who went a combined 1 for 9. So that kind of hurts. And then
I mean the Beatty, I get it because it was a doubleheader. So you're hoping that in at least one of the 2 games he goes off, and he really did not.
No, he didn't. And then again Saturday wasn't as notable. He did have Brandon Drury on the bench, and again, Brett Beatty in at third base, 0 for 4 with a strikeout. And then Sunday, he had Joey Meneses on the bench, who went off, and then Josh Naylor 0 for 4 at first base. So there are times when having a bench like this is awesome. But you could see it right here in this matchup as a little microcosm that sometimes having this size of a bench, sure, it doesn't hurt you to have all those stats on your bench. But at the same time, it just adds to the stress and adds to the tinkering and the decision making, which could sort of flip-flop your mind a little bit. All things considered, runs, doubles, RBIs would all get flipped. 5 home runs would have tied the category. He had already lost strikeouts at that point. So it's not like those 27 strikeouts would have done anything. Batting average was only separated by 0.008. So most likely that would have flipped. So we're looking at, instead of a 12-8 loss, we're looking at a potential 12-7 win with those stats.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, Ben and Joe have talked about it on past shows too, that this is how Ari does it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. When you have that kind of a bench, that's going to happen. Sometimes it's a game of luck at that point,
Yeah.
Do I start Josh Naylor or Joey Meneses? And, you could start one and the other one goes off, and, it's a game of chance sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It is. But this much talent on the bench makes you think that a great trade can be done, especially how much third base is like, there's a shortage of third basemen right now. So if you have Josh Young, Brett Beatty, Brandon Drury, and Ha-Seong Kim all on your
And
team,
Ryan McMahon.
and who?
Ryan McMahon.
And Ryan McMahon, that's 5 third basemen when you know there's a shortage in the league. And you can definitely get some
Not to
meat
mention,
somewhere.
Moncada's coming back soon too, I think.
Okay, so 6. That's wild. It's wild. All that being said, Ari added only 2 players this week, 2 hitters in Eddie Rosario and Ramon Laureano, which at the same time, you lose relief appearances by 1. So yeah, we get it. Like this is the game that he plays. But what's upsetting is that he could play a different game and be more competitive in some of these categories.
Right. Do you really need, Mike Yastrzemski? Do you need Ha-Seong Kim when you can go out and get a relief pitcher to, not lose relief appearances by 1?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's sort of where I'm at with this. I don't want to take away from Lebo's win because he had to fight and come back. But yeah, the benchings were tough there. Some of his key players this week, we're gonna highlight Masataka Yoshida as his MVP. I just love saying his name. 480 average.
It is so pleasant, isn't it?
It's so pleasant. A 480 average, 519 on base, 7 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 8 RBIs, and a walk, and 0 strikeouts. It looks like this guy's the real deal, which is awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. His least valuable hitter, we're gonna give it to Joey Meneses, who not only did he miss that huge day on Sunday, but when he was in the lineup, 1 run, nothing else, 5 strikeouts, and a 67 average and a 067 on base.
Yikes. Yeah. He's see, I knew it. This guy's not for real.
I mean, a 277 average isn't hard,
yeah, I know.
but yeah, you need more counting stats there, and you're hitting cleanup every day, and this is what you're producing.
I mean, he's got 2 home runs, and one of them just came on Sunday. So
yeah,
it's not good.
I'm gonna shout out 2 other players here, 2 Joshes. One of them is young, and one of them is not old. It's Naylor. Josh Young and Josh Naylor, both of them did not hit very well this week for him as well.
No, and I think Naylor is he's had a rough season altogether. Yeah, he hasn't had. I mean, 19 RBIs is nice, but he's had a rough go of it.
He's almost a streamer, and he's almost I'm not sure what he does for this team at this point, but
yeah,
I digress. Yeah. Let's talk about his pitching here. And we're going to talk about some guys from the same team here. Let's give his Cy Young to Scott Barlow, give him some credit. 3 innings, 3 relief appearances, a walk, and 7 strikeouts for a reliever through 3 innings is nice. Nothing earned, and a .67 whip.
Yeah, he bounced back because he had some rough goings back towards like middle and end of April, but he's rattled off some good outings lately.
Yes, he has. And on the flip side, Aroldis Chapman has not really rattled off some good outings. 2 1/3 innings this week, a loss, 3 walks, 1 strikeout, a 7.71 ERA, and a 2.14 WHIP, and the 3 relief appearances. What's funny is that I was kind of torn between. I was torn between Chapman and Clay Holmes, and they were the Yankees bullpen last year.
Yeah, that's fun game.
Fun game. So honestly, his pitching this week was straight up mediocre. So it was hard to find someone that was like great and someone that was really bad. So kind of had
Yeah,
to go
and
with
when you
this.
don't, when you don't carry a full slate of pitchers, there's not a whole lot to choose from.
Right. Right. Um, yeah, so that is, and you know what? This matchup, it was more about Lebo getting right, I think.
Yeah,
Um, Ari takes the loss and falls into last place. Oh no, 15th.
15. Yeah,
Um, and now he's 19 under. And it's when you look at Ari's team, you see a lot of stars and you see a lot of promise, but with the lack of you know day-to-day management, it's going to be hard to fight back. But he is such a brilliant manager when he does put the time and effort into it. Um, it's just it's tough when you see him make two ads and not even make an attempt at that relief appearance category.
yeah.
Um,
When
and
you
to
have,
leave and to leave that much on the bench.
yeah, and especially when you have the pieces that are droppable,
Right.
or again, you don't need Eddie Rosario. You can go get a relief pitcher and just plug him in. I mean, ERA wasn't even close, so like, who cares if he gives up a home run or two?
Right. Right. Yeah, you can load up your whole relief pitching core on Sunday and just be done with it.
Yeah,
You don't have to carry it all week. Um, it is sad that he couldn't get one save from Clay Holmes or either Royal, but
yeah,
it is. Um, for Lebo, like I said, I think this was a get right week for him. He needed to take a W here. Um, and he did, and he climbed the standings to 13th. And he, you know, that's what he could keep doing. I could see him continuing to push forward and a little bit at a time, little bit at a time, and before you know it, he could be right back in the playoff picture. So
we know how aggressive and how dedicated he is. He's going
yes,
to make the moves, and he's going to do what he needs to do. Um, we've seen it from him. I don't think 13th is going to be his landing spot.
yeah, I don't think so either. And he just needed this. He needed a little momentum, and he got it. So
Yeah. Um, does that bring us to our managers of the week?
it's time.
It is. And I'm going to go first because it's a perfect segue. Because my number 3 is going to be Bryan Lebo.
Me
Um,
too.
yes, way to go, Bryan Lebo. Yeah, he didn't have to do a whole lot, obviously, because of Ari's not really day-to-day managing as much. But the fact that he was able to fight back on Sunday,
Yes.
get that win, get right, and now let's move forward and keep it going, Bryan. So kudos to you. Let's see where you go from here.
Yeah. Great Sunday management, like you said. And I think we talked about a lot about it, but he's a hungry manager. He's an active manager, and he's passionate. And 13 is
Yeah.
not the end for him. He's going to keep moving forward.
Yep.
What do you have at number 2?
And for number 2, I have you, my friend. It was just like I said, another dominant showing, and now here you are at number 1. And it's gonna be hard. I think it's gonna be hard to knock you off. So, a huge win for you. Another huge win. That's 3 in a row. Good job, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before I mention my number 2, I have a couple of shout outs. Because I have to mention them. First of all, I'm going to shout out our commissioner, Ben, who got a really big W this week.
Yes.
A triple up, but he didn't make manager of the week for me because his opponent made one move all week, and it was on Sunday morning, and it wasn't a tough competition for Ben. I guess
Right.
we can put it that way. And then I would like to shout out both you and Joe, because I could see either one or both of you getting manager of the week, but it was so close that I couldn't really issue that out. But you both fought tooth and nail till the end, so you both deserve a ton of credit for that. My number 2, I'm going to give to James Santangelo, who just worked really hard to get the win over a very, very hungry and angry manager in Josh. And he needed this win because I think he needed to show that he can not just beat up on the teams at the bottom, but he can take the win over the teams that are also like right on his tail. And
Right.
And he did just that. He did exactly what he needed to do to take a nice size win here.
Yeah. Yeah. Fell into a little bit of luck for, some bad luck for Josh, with
Yeah.
the Azale thing and the, the ass hat start, but it was a great week for James. I do want to give also a shout out, definitely a shout out to Joe. Joe, I love you. Can't wait for round 2. It's gonna be exciting. But I also want to give a shout out to Henry. He took the loss this week, but it was, I think it was a lot further apart than like he had a big Sunday. I think going into Sunday, I have it somewhere. He was down 15-6 going into Sunday, and he ended up losing like by one stat. So I want to give a shout out there. I didn't follow the matchup, so I don't know what transpired, but good job for you, Henry, for mitigating what was a giant loss to a much more manageable loss.
Absolutely.
My number one is Frank Bucco. He completely turned his season around. He was in last place just a couple weeks ago, and now here he is in 5th, and he's just roaring through his opponents. So he takes a what was it, 16-3 win over Christian. Wasn't even I almost want to say it was a no contest. Like he pretty much bludgeoned Christian here, and he's rolling. So good job to you, Frank, and enjoy Whit Merrifield.
Yeah. For all those reasons, Frank, you are my number one as well. I love the new team name.
Yes.
Canostradamus is awesome.
Beautiful.
And you're right. This was not a competition. Frank absolutely dominated on the pitching side. He won by a third of an inning, and he threw 78 and a third innings and managed a 2.64 ERA and a 101 WHIP. Like dominant.
It was a match. It was a week for the ages, really.
It was. I'm sure he probably could have found that relief appearance somewhere, but I mean, what can you complain about here? This is complete dominance. He took 1 loss in 78 innings. He gave up 0 errors throughout the week. Like this was almost a pristine show.
And while he gave up 0 errors, Christian gave up 8. So yeah. Obviously, the opponent was not at the level, but you can't take away from the dominating effort that Frank put out.
Yeah. Oh, he absolutely deserves number 1 this week. No doubt about it.
All right, dude. I think that's gonna put a bow on this one. Thanks for staying up with me and going through week 5.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a lot of fun. Look forward to week 6, and I hope you have a great week there in Colorado.
Thank you. I will do my best to do that. And until then, guys, it's been real.
And it's been fun.
And it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time, guys.